There are some stories that stay with us long after we've heard them. Amanda Antoni's story is one of those. A mystery that shakes you to your core, making you question what we truly know about the people closest to us. What happened in that basement? And how well do we really understand the darkness that can hide just beneath the surface? Her family was devastated, understandably, as it happened with their loved one. She was someone's wife, someone's daughter, someone's friend, etc., etc., etc. Devastating is the word for this case. Well, that's exactly how I also felt when I first came across the case of Amanda Antoni. Initially, I felt sad but distant. But as I went deeper and deeper into this horrible tragedy, I just couldn't believe that something like this can also happen. I know that we would all compare this to the staircase murders or accidents, you can call it. I have seen the docuseries on Netflix, so I know. Both the women falling down a staircase with eerily similar manner, and tragedy and the trial that followed. But that's again different circumstances, different scenarios, and Mr. Michael Peterson has been proven not guilty in those two cases. Imagine your wife is found dead in your basement, and you're the one who finds her. But here's where it gets really strange. As much as Lee Antoni wanted to help, as much as the police investigated, no one could figure out exactly what happened. From the start, the investigation raised more questions than answers. And even now, years later, the truth behind Amanda's death still remains a mystery. So let me walk you through the case, show you the twists, the conflicting perspectives, and let you decide for yourself what really happened to Amanda Antoni. On October 26th, 2015, Lee Antoni discovered his wife Amanda dead in their basement. But the details of the scene? They weren't as simple as you might think. The injuries on Amanda's body were brutal. Forensic experts determined that she died from blunt force trauma, likely from a heavy object. Amanda Antoni's death was horrifying. Many of the detectives working the case had never seen a scene as gruesome as the Antoni basement. Given the amount of blood, one of the bloodstain analysts, Jody Barnes, said that the amount of blood she saw there was one of the worst she saw in her career, and there were so many patterns and stains of blood there from Amanda's bashed-in head. Detectives concluded that her death was suspicious. But here's where things start to look strange. You'd think the scene would tell you everything you need to know, right? The signs of violence, the blood. It's easy to point the finger at someone. But, and I can't stress this enough, there was no sign of forced entry. Now think about it. If Amanda was attacked by a stranger, why wasn't there a break-in? Why was everything in the house left undisturbed? Therefore, we have to consider, could the killer have been someone Amanda knew? Could this have been a crime of familiarity, not just random violence? Let's look at Lee's perspective first. He was the one who found her. Imagine what that must have been like. To walk into your home and find the person you love lifeless in your basement. I can't even begin to imagine the shock. He immediately called 911, but there was something about his reaction which raised suspicion. You'd expect someone to be frantic, right? But Lee wasn't. Instead, he waited 10 minutes before calling the authorities. Why? But before we judge, let's consider his side of the story. Maybe he was in shock. We all have different coping mechanisms and we all react to situations very differently. Maybe he didn't know how to react. After all, his wife was dead in their home. Therefore, could it be that his actions were simply the result of overwhelming emotion and confusion rather than guilt? Now, let's bring in the forensic experts. What did they find? They didn't just look at the body, they looked at everything. And that's where things get really interesting. The medical examiner confirmed Amanda died from blunt force trauma. No surprise there. But there's something else that stands out. Amanda had no defensive wounds. Nothing that suggested that she tried to fight off her attacker. But, and this is the real twist, there was extensive damage to her head and upper body. So what does that mean? Could Amanda have been caught off guard? Did she know the killer? Or was she too stunned to defend herself? At the time of Amanda Antoni's death in October 2015, her husband, Lee Antoni, was in Saskatchewan, Canada, assisting his mother with a property matter. Initially, Amanda had planned to accompany him, but cancelled due to a severe migraine. Let's break down the possible theories. But before we dive into them, let's consider a few different perspectives and tell you some important facts on this case on what might have happened. Upon entering the basement, investigators found a ceramic piggy bank on a ledge at the top of the stairs. The front of the piggy bank was shattered, and fragments were scattered on the stairs and embedded in Amanda's forehead. Notably, the piggy bank showed signs of having been impacted, with a dent in the wall behind it corresponding to the damage. The dust on the piggy bank suggested it had not been moved recently, indicating it was in its usual position prior to the incident. Amanda suffered blunt force trauma, leading to significant blood loss. Investigators noted that the blood spatter patterns and the presence of bloody footprints indicated she regained consciousness after the fall and moved around the basement. However, there were no signs of her attempting to ascend the stairs, which has been a point of contention in determining whether her death was accidental or the result of foul play. But she would have been in a complete state of shock and disoriented and would have been unconscious from the fall. So it wouldn't have been easier for her just to come back up the stairs. Also, the dog Ruby. Why didn't the dog go downstairs to the basement to his owner? But I don't have much knowledge about pets because I don't have any pets. But I heard that pets, including dogs, cats, they get scared in these situations. An animal reaction to these things, we never know. Also, the smell of blood which would have come from the basement, the dog would have got scared, right? It's not like it's a trained dog, it's just a pet dog. See, we wouldn't be able to say the exact reason why the dog didn't go downstairs to the basement to Amanda. Or was the dog locked or held by someone upstairs? Of course, there are a lot of theories on Reddit on this case, and there are a lot of theories on the internet like Amanda's phone was found broken on the floor, far away from where she was found in the basement. This raised questions about whether Amanda had tried to call for help before her death. The broken phone also suggested that she may have been unable to communicate or was prevented from doing so by an assailant. What about the CCTV footage? Is there a CCTV camera in their house? I'm not sure whether they looked into that or not. I guess they would have, so... An overturned dining room chair was found upstairs, away from Amanda's body. This could indicate a struggle or an initial altercation before she was taken to the basement or pushed to the basement from the stairs. The presence of the chair also suggested that this incident might not have been a simple accident. The basement stairs did not have a railing. If we notice, there's no railing there in the stairs. I mean, why would you not have a railing? Now that has contributed to a fall. However, the investigators noted that the laundry basket at the top of the stairs was undisturbed, and there were no signs of struggle near the stairs. This raised questions whether Amanda fell accidentally or was pushed. Amanda was 31 at the time of her death. According to the biomechanics engineer, although very rare, said she could have tripped off Ruby and that her injuries were consistent with a stair fall, also referring to the Kathleen Peterson case in the staircase. Basically, this entire thing is just so bizarre. When she was talking to her husband the night before, there was a loud noise and the call suddenly dropped. Lee did call her back, but it went to voicemail, and he did text her later on as well, but there wasn't any response from Amanda. But why did he not check with a neighbor, like calling them or call the police to do a welfare check? I know that we would not think of any worst case scenarios when it comes to our loved ones, or for anyone for that matter. But since in this case it is established that Amanda had migraine issues, he just thought that she could be having one of those migraines and she didn't want to talk anymore on the phone at that time and just would have probably slept. From the outside, looking in, Lee's behavior could be seen as suspicious. His shaky alibi, the delay in calling 911, the inconsistencies in his story. That doesn't paint a pretty picture. But and I want you to really think about this. There's no hard evidence linking Lee directly to Amanda's death. Sure, his timeline's off, but that doesn't mean he's guilty. Therefore, could he simply be a victim of circumstance? Could he be innocent and just caught up in the shock of it all? This is another theory that has some legs. If Amanda didn't know her attacker, it would make sense that someone would have broken into the house and killed her. Did someone push her? But then again, but there was no sign of a break-in. No forced entry, no signs of struggle with someone who wasn't familiar with the house. Therefore, the possibility of an intruder seems unlikely. But then again, could an intruder have been so skilled that they knew exactly where to go? Or was the killer someone with inside knowledge? There was no evidence of sexual assault, so that was ruled out. This is a theory that I think deserves some attention. Could Amanda have been the victim of someone close to her? Maybe even from her inner circle? A friend, an acquaintance, someone who knew her routines. There's a theory that suggests that Amanda had a strained relationship with someone, but there's no concrete evidence to support that. But, and this is where it gets eerie, what if the person who killed her was someone she trusted? What if they were able to get close enough to her to deliver the fatal blow without her even suspecting a thing? Lee Antoni's sister became a suspect in the death of Amanda Antoni. Due to a history of animosity and threats, Lee revealed that his sister had intense resentment towards Amanda. There was an incident in the past where Lee and Amanda had reported her to Child Protective Services because of her drug use, leading to her child being taken into care. Following this, she reportedly harassed Amanda with multiple phone calls and made threats, causing Amanda to feel unsafe. Given these circumstances, investigators considered the possibility that Lee's sister might have been involved in Amanda's death. However, after conducting interviews and gathering evidence, they found no direct connection between her and the crime. No physical evidence, such as fingerprints or DNA, linked her to the scene, and there was no indication that she had hired someone to harm Amanda. As a result, Lee's sister was cleared as a suspect. Some suggest Amanda may have tripped or lost her balance, falling into the piggy bank, which then struck her head as she tumbled down the stairs. The absence of foreign DNA and fingerprints supports this theory, implying she was alone during the incident. Others propose that Amanda was struck with a piggy bank, leading to her injuries. However, this theory is challenged as there were no defensive wounds on her and the absence of signs of a struggle elsewhere in the house. Now, here's the part that really messes with your mind. After years of investigation, after forensic analysis, after interviewing dozens of people, no one has been arrested. There's no clear suspect. No one has been able to connect all the dots. Therefore, Amanda's death remains unsolved. The questions about her killer, about Lee's involvement, about the motive, they're still out there, unanswered. However, new evidence came to light, including the results of the autopsy, which led to investigators introducing the possibility of Amanda's death being a tragic accident rather than a murder. Her family remains convinced that someone killed Amanda, but there are no leads other than the strange circumstances of the crime scene. And Jody Barnes still thinks that this couldn't have been an accident. It has been almost 10 years, almost a decade since Amanda Antoni died, and the case remains unsolved for several reasons. The most significant update on Amanda Antoni's death occurred over a year later. Back in December 13, 2016, Calgary police concluded that Amanda Antoni's death was an accident, much to the family's dismay. However, despite this surprising ruling, Amanda Antoni's family does not believe her death was accidental. The lead investigator from the case even continued to work for the Antoni family, given how many unanswered questions remain. That's the terrifying truth. We might never know who killed Amanda Antoni or why. The evidence is there, the theories are endless, and yet there's no resolution. Therefore, the case remains as open as it was the day she was found. Therefore, the case remains as open as it was the day she was found. I want to leave you with this. think about everything we've just covered: the evidence, the conflicting stories, the questions that will never have answers. It's unsettling, isn't it? We've all been in the situations where we want answers, and we want them now. But sometimes the truth isn't that easy to find. Sometimes it's buried so deep that no amount of digging can uncover it. But, and here's the thing, I know that you have your own theories. So what do you think happened to Amanda? Do you believe Lee was involved? Or was it someone else? Or is there something we've missed? I want to hear your thoughts, your theories. Drop them in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more solved and unsolved mysteries. You don't want to miss what we uncover next. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Stay curious and keep digging.